Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Citizen Sleeper. In the last episode we had quite a lot of stuff going on. We've discovered what the flux is and we're trying to wait for a lot of timers to tick down. I think I'm going to try and focus on helping the flotilla with what dice we have left. It shouldn't take too much. The 2 1s are a bit of a problem, I'll admit, but I'm sure it'll be fine. Let's use our 6 over here. I am torn on whether I should get some more Heaven Edge data, but let's re-roll. Let's see what we get. What are the odds it's another 2 1s? Oh nice, another 6. Perfect. That should make us a flotilla's friend. Sol, the pragmatic captain. Someone told me I should be thanking you. The voice comes from behind you, cutting through the chaos of the crowded, cavernous bay. You freeze. Don't be afraid now. I've been hunting you, sure, but for all the best reasons. You turn to see bright eyes set in a rough face, framed in rusted metal. So, he holds out his hand, the other clamped firmly around a knotted wooden cane. Well, you've got to shake someone's hand, right? He grips you firmly with a heavy and calloused hand. Forgive me. As soon as I saw you, I knew who you were. Sol puts a hand on your shoulder. I've been told a sleeper was part of that supply run that came in several cycles ago. He nods. A very welcome act, and we all thank you for it. Walk with me, Sleeper. Sol sets off through the bay, his partial suit hissing and creaking as it helps carry him through the busy crowds. You notice people making way for you and Sol, standing back and letting you pass. You pass a makeshift kitchen, steaming pots on heating elements, a restless queue collecting meals. That algae that came through isn't exactly a full meal, but with what we have here we've been able to make it work. You see a ladle of a greenish stew dished out. The colour is something, isn't it? Sol smiles. Sol leads you out of the larger bay into a corridor lined with storage rooms that are now serving as dorms. You see someone filling a metal container from a standpipe and water gushing out readily. Sol nods to the person as he passes. Just a little further now. Sol leads you into a freight elevator and whistles to some unseen operator to start it up. It jerks into life, and as you pass through the layers of the ship, you see people on every level. Supplies crammed into every available space, and sparks leaping in bursts as the ship is reshaped and modified to sustain its population. If Heaven Edge were expecting an exodus from the flotilla, the flux event has put a stop to that. Sol stretches. Some have crossed to the Eye, but many just to gather salvage or score a hot meal. The pressure on our supplies is shrinking, but not like I'd hoped. With the flux reaching all the way out here, people are starting to understand that our journey might not be over. Sol stares grimly ahead. Suddenly, the freight elevator screeches to a halt, and Sol leads you slowly out into a wide room of chairs and terminals, ringed by a mezzanine and with a glass roof above, showing the distant hub and the far curve of the Eye beyond. The people at the terminals nod to him as he enters. This is your ship? Sol nods. That's right. The Pilgrim's Seed is mine to care for. He leads you up a railed platform at the centre of the room and stops. She chose me, so to speak. Well, at least her crew did, and I do my best to serve them. Sol looks around the bridge of the ship. A a pained expression on his face. I'll admit that the responsibility isn't one that suits me, though we rarely get to choose such things. He glances back at you. But you, Sleeper, from what I understand, you chose to try and help us here. Is that right? I did my best too. Sol nods silently. But I have to ask you, Sleeper, why are you here now? Sol leans back, and you feel his eyes on you, assessing you. I want to know more. I want to know more, Sol muses. Why would you think we could tell you anything you don't know? He smiles. I have thousands of people here on the Pilgrim Seed, Sleeper, and there's thousands more out in the flotilla. He leans against a railing. A lot of them are looking to me to provide some future for them, some path out of this dead end we've got ourselves into. And this cycle, this very cycle, the thing we've been running away from, it just caught up with us. So these people are scared, Sleeper, and they are looking to me for reassurance. And then, on the same cycle, someone tells me they see you on board. A sleeper, the same sleeper, they reckon, that wanted so strongly to send a ship past the cordon to see us. Sol scratches at his beard. So, the first thing I wanted to do was thank you for that, for your interest. He pauses. But the second thing I wanted to do was find out what you want from us. Sol's suit hisses and creaks. I think that's fair, don't you? Sol takes a deep breath. So what is it? Tell me about the flux. That's what we're actually here for. Someone at a terminal calls out to Sol, and he shouts some orders back. He turns to you. Apologies. He smiles that half smile. I'll tell you what, Sleeper. Let's you and me make a deal. You want information, I understand that. But I have a list of needs longer than the rim of the eye itself, he grimaces. So you do some things for me, and then we can talk about what's been happening in this system, and I will answer all of your questions, and then some. I may be the captain of the Pilgrim Seed, and she's certainly the biggest ship in this flotilla, but I'm not the only captain here. We have ships here from each of the moons. We're from Ember's Hearth. But there's others from Ember's Song, and even Ember's Step. The moons have been at each other's throats, Sleeper. What with the pressure of the flux, the bad blood from the old days. Sol leans in. We aren't exactly all in alignment. What I need is a way to stop things escalating, for the crews on these ships and their captains to feel happy and comfortable enough to forget old rivalries and past crimes. He flinches at something. Those from Ember's Step, oh, they've always been proud, but that pride seems to be a barrier to compromise right now. The last set of supplies I sent their way, they refused. Meanwhile, I have a supply shuttle at the docking axis of the Ember's Song ships gathered at. Meanwhile, I have a supply shuttle at the docking axis the Ember's Song ships gather at. But they have taken far too many cycles to unload. Maybe if you are heading that way, you can look in on them. I'm no politician, Sleeper, but if I don't... Sol stops. He leans back and flexes, his suit screeching. He groans a little, and you see the weight of the flotilla sitting on his shoulders. The suit, the only thing keeping him vertical beneath all that pressure. Look, you'll see for yourself if you go. Meet the others, Sleeper. See what they need. Keep them aligned. He speaks through the pain, his voice clipped. Are you okay? Not really, but as long as this thing holds, he grimaces. I hope. Sol grits his teeth. You are what you appear to be, Sleeper. He smiles his half-smile, despite the pain, because I'm not sure I can take any more bad news. Plus, there's plenty to be done here on a Pilgrim's Seed too. If you have a moment to pitch in, there's never enough around here. That's something I've learned the hard way. Sol settles onto his cane, the pain visibly receding. Alright, I got 1,000 things to attend to now, Sleeper, so you'll have to find your own way out. And with that, Sol sits at his terminal with slow and careful movements. You head back down in the freight elevator, and as soon as you see again the layers and layers of chaotic life this vessel, and as soon as you do, you see again the layers and layers of chaotic life this vessel, and all the vessels of the flotilla hold. Okay, so now we can actually see Aki, the Ember Step refugee, and there's a docking axis over there. So what do we need to do on the Pilgrim's Seed? Oh, good lord. Step, Song and Hearth. Stability in the flotilla means relieving the pressure on the refugees from all 3 moons of Ember. So this is all of them, I guess. So each one. Hearth survival. Whether Esh got her supplies through the cordon or not, Pilgrim's Seed and the Hearth refugees on it desperately need help. Apparently I can give them Matsutake caps to keep them supplied, or even Sol's own ships requires help, but figuring out what jobs need doing first and who to help is a challenge. But see what this is? Is it just gonna give me Hearth survival? I think it's nothing. It's not gonna unlock anything new, so maybe I'll hold on to that dice for a second. Let's go speak to Aki, the Ember Step refugee. It's a strange sight, given your time spent in the Greenway, to see a greenhouse choked in red dust. It piles up along edges, gathers in curving waves, and is carried by some unseen wind to whirl in front of the glass ceiling. It is a desert in miniature, a captured landscape of iron-rich sediment and unseen life. Beautiful, isn't it? The remark comes from another figure standing at the viewing window, so quietly that you hadn't noticed them. Did they just arrive, or were they here before you were? Their cloth, swaddled form reveals little. It is. You say nothing. Catch a glimpse of a pale face among the thick material, dark eyes glittering in the red, reflected light. They turn to you as the dust swirls. Aki. They smile, a tight smile. You're not from the flotilla, am I right? I'm not from anywhere. Everyone is from somewhere, whether they wish to be or not. The red dust glitters in her eyes, whether it is a good place to be from or not. Aki gathers her cloak around her shoulders against the cold. What brings you to the wind's long shadow? The wind's long shadow? This ship. Aki looks at you curiously. Do you often wander around ships you don't know the name of? All the time. You are a strange one. Aki raises an eyebrow. I don't know whether to report you or send you back from where you came from. She smiles to herself, which is nowhere at all. You glance around the empty corridor, suddenly aware of how quiet it is on the ship. Unlike the other ships you've been on, the flotilla there is a silent order to the wind's long shadow, and in this moment, it feels unsettling. Where is everyone? Aki waves a hand. Asleep, mostly. It is night, on step, and so it is night here. She rubs her shoulders, at least for those of us who can sleep. The step? Aki turns away, irritated. eager to change the subject. You hear a creak as a set of shutters slowly begin to close across the glass ceiling of the greenhouse. As you watch, feel the dissonance this place has with that word. There is nothing green here. A dust house, perhaps? It takes many systems to preserve this landscape, Aki begins. To simulate the wind, cycle the dust, layer the sand and dirt beneath. You watch the dust swirling. Systems that are failing. The flux event. Aki glances at you for a sign of recognition at this term. Is eroding our ability to keep this place alive, to keep these traces of step alive. She smiles to herself. Which is ironic, because when we left Step, the flux had eroded our ability to survive on the moon. Now the situation is reversed. Away from the moon, its ecosystems are as fragile as we were, living upon it. Something catches your eye as the shutters darken the dust house. The winds, picking away at the dunes, begin to reveal something. A web, a network of thick, branching forms, and then they close completely, and you see nothing in the dark. Soft blue lights flicker on in the corridor, uplighting Aki in cold cyan. You have piqued my curiosity, but I'm so tired, Aki shivers. If you do not have a purpose here on the ship, I recommend finding one. Otherwise, I'm afraid you'll need to leave. Make yourself useful, and perhaps we will get another chance to talk. She turns. I would like that. With that, Aki pads away along the corridor. You stand for a moment in front of the dark dust house, trying to imagine the network of roots under the sand and dust, and then trying to imagine the moon that once housed them. I really like this artwork here, it's really cool. Okay, so that's Aki, the dust houses. We can do some systems repair here. Aki warned you that if you wanted to learn more about the wind's long shadow, you'll need to prove your usefulness. And then finally, we have the docking access of the Ember's Song. Sole shipment of supplies sits partially unloaded, the crew absent. If you want to help, the best way would be to finish the job. Okay, so that just requires me to unload cargo. So who do I want to help first? I am very intrigued by the dust houses, the Ember's Step. That's very interesting to me. I very much like desert environments. We could level up here. All cryo actions are discounted by 20%. I feel like that would be very good. I'm actually going to get that. Makes everything cheaper. That makes all my food cheaper. Good lord. Why haven't I picked that up before? Okay, so who do I want to help first? I think it's going to be the dust. The dust houses. I'm very intrigued. There is obviously the timer on the Briar. Peaks process, but I haven't rested at all in this episode, and it's almost near the end of the episode. Good lord. Been one of those many reading episodes. I could use this 3 here, get a 5, make myself useful. The crew won't let you into the dust houses, but there are plenty of supporting systems that could do with some love and care. You look at some of the shutter control systems right by the flux event. It's slow progress, but the crew will notice the fix. But none of these other people need these Matsutake cut mushrooms, which I could give to the Pilgrim's Seed here. Does it just give me 1? Let's see how much it gives me. Okay, no, so it gives me 2. Interesting. So I could do 6. Not like we can get more mushrooms. We are growing mushrooms still in our aviary over here. 2 more days till we have another full growth. Our condition's looking looking a bit poo, but now we can use a stabilizer. Now we know how to get natural stabilizer from the labs using club caps. I need another one. Poo. Stabilizers should be easy to obtain, but I do think I am going to end this episode here. We shall carry on trying to help the flotilla in the next episode. Thank you all very much for watching. Please like, subscribe, let me know what you think. Your comments are greatly appreciated. Thank you again to the members of the channel and all the people who support me. It really does mean the world to me, and it helps me keep the channel going. But as always, we'll see you next time.